You don't have a consistency problem. What you actually have is a commitment problem. What so many folks are defining as inconsistency or a problem being consistent is really a lack of commitment. You are waiting for God or some external force to convince you that your goal is worth actually pursuing. Folks have been so traumatized and scarred by disappointment that now we have this general level of apathy as it relates to our assignment. And the reason why you can't show up every day, the reason why you struggle with being visible, the reason why you struggle with putting the hours in, the reason why you struggle with trying and failing and trying and failing and trying again is because you are waiting to be convinced that it will work out this time. But there is no convincing. You have to be fully persuaded as it pertains to your calling. And you cannot depend on your spouse, on your best friend, on strangers on the internet, or the angels in heaven to persuade you. You have to know for yourself. You have to know with every ounce and fiber of your being that you are chosen to do the work that you have been called to do. And if you are not sure, then that certainty will not be fixed by any type of external validation. So, the reason that you are lethargic, the reason that you are apathetic, the reason that you are inconsistent, the reason that you are wishy washy is because you are not sure as it relates to your assignment, and you are likely unsure as it relates to your identity. But if you know that you know that you know that you were placed on this planet to do the thing that God put in your heart to do, if you know that you're called to be successful, that you're called to have impact, that you're called to make a meaningful contribution, that you're called to sow into a seed into a season or a person, or to raise a family, or whatever that vision is that you have for your life, you cannot be convinced otherwise. And the way that you demonstrate that you are convinced about your capacity is by your consistency. I show up every day because I am convinced about my capacity. I am convinced about who God called me to be. I am convinced that I'm called to be a communicator. I am convinced that I'm called to shape paradigms and to impact mindsets and to sow and to pour and to raise up and to disciple paradigms and methodologies and to alter perspectives. I don't have to be encouraged to do it because I already know who I am. And it doesn't matter how often I'm rejected, I am scorned, I am laughed at, I am mocked, or I am underestimated. It's not going to stop me from speaking, whether that's verbally, whether that's through writing books, whether that's through on social media or otherwise. There is no place you can put me that I won't use the gift that God gave me to communicate, to get this message out. Okay, because why? What God has placed in me has become a burden to me. What God has invested in me has become a burden to me. And now it's woe unto me if I don't speak, because it's an adjutant and an irritant to me to remain in complacency. But until that is how your gift is to you, you will remain stuck. And so many folks are indifferent because they don't have a burden. And they are not burdened because they have not been formally or thoroughly introduced to their own giftedness. And so this is what it's about. As I'm talking about shake back season, it's about you being reintroduced to yourself. It's about you digging yourself out from under the rubble of whatever tried to suffocate you, whatever tried to choke you, whatever tried to kill you, whatever tried to smother you, whatever tried to stifle you, so that you can be introduced to the version of yourself that God has placed His grace on, right? And so we have to stop saying, well, I just struggle with consistency. I just struggle with procrastination, because it's really a deeper issue than that. You are not committed enough to your calling. And if it's not your calling, the thing that you're trying to do and pursue, then what are you wasting your time with it for? At this age, we don't have time to play patty cake with other people's purpose. We spend so much time on social media that we're trying to ear hustle in other people's purpose. We see someone else thriving and succeeding, doing affiliate marketing, so we want to do that. And then we see somebody else thriving, acquiring properties, and so we want to do that. And then we see someone else building a business and a brand through public speaking, and so we want to do that. But what is it that you are called to do? Some of that apathy is because you are spending too much time trying to mimic what you saw someone else do that has nothing to do with you. And you're never going to be able to stir up enough zeal to pursue somebody else's calling. It's not going to have any type of longevity to it. It's not going to have any type of urgency to it. It's not going to have any type of oil or grace on it, because you're mocking and mimicking what you've seen someone else do. But it's not it's not a burden to you. It's not life to you. It's not bread to you. It's not sustenance to you. There is a way that God will so trouble you about what you're called to create that you really won't be able to spend an extended period of time doing anything else without feeling like, what's the meaning of life? There's really, I have to be who I am. It doesn't matter if you put me in the desert. It doesn't matter if you give me a microphone. It doesn't matter if you're listening, if you're not listening. It doesn't matter if I'm in the workplace, if I'm in corporate America, if I'm in, the church. It doesn't matter where you put me. I'm going to find a way to communicate these ideas. Period. Because it's what's important to me. And so we have to really sit down and be honest with ourselves. Do I really want what I've been saying I want? Do I really feel called to pursue A, B, C, X, Y, and Z? Yes or no? And it's okay to have to say, well, I thought that I was called to do A, B, and C, but now I'm having to reevaluate. It just doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel honest. It doesn't feel like integrity. It doesn't feel like authenticity to me anymore. And it can be scary to have to redefine what's important to you after investing time doing something else. Like, people knew me as an athlete or an entrepreneur, but now I'm going into education or into the military or whatever. And it can be jarring to feel like, okay, I'm 30 and 40 and 50 and 60, and now I'm having to reintroduce myself and also become reacquainted with myself. It takes a level of faith to be willing to lay down old assignments that no longer fit. Sometimes that's the reason for the lethargy and the reason that you're dragging and lagging is because you're trying to force a fit. You're trying to force the expanded you to fit into the smaller box from a previous season, and it just no longer is aligned. And so for some of us, we have to have enough faith to say, well, I know that you used to know me as X, but now I'm Y. And give people an opportunity to relearn you as you relearn yourself. You don't have to hold on to something that's old just because you are afraid that people won't resonate. Know that if you are walking in alignment, the new people that you're called to serve or to befriend or to be in community with, you will only be able to be introduced to them once you begin to let go and shed those old identities, those old titles, whatever that looks like for you. All right. And so if you're someone that struggles with showing up, if you're someone that struggles with diligence, you might have to consider what you are pursuing and if it's a calling or if it's busy work. There is far too much complacency for me to be convinced that we are pursuing our calling. I think we are getting distracted by monitoring and observing those folks around us who might be thriving and succeeding, and we become envious in a lot of ways of what they have, and we're trying to mimic their results. But the lane that you are really called to will always bear fruit for you once you commit yourself to consistency. So those are my thoughts for today. I want us to stay in self-reflection. It's still shake back season. We're recovering, but a lot of that recovery is going to make us look at our definitions and reevaluate our pursuits. All right. I'll holler at you guys next time.